Hi, this is Gwendolyn, and this is my presentation slash video on my process going over how my gear geometry tool works, and my whole process through the struggles, getting it working, designing it, planning it, how I came up with it, everything like that. So let's get started here. I want to make some slides just to visualize the stuff I'm trying to get across. The overall idea was to have a tool that simply creates an 8-spoke gear with a hole in the middle which can be used for many uses, mostly for technology designs. My basic idea is I wasn't sure at first what I wanted to make, but I definitely knew I wanted to make some sort of object that you could repeat over and over. Something real simple like a rivet or a pipe or something like that. So I chose a gear because it sounded interesting, trying to get certain parts of it to extrude and seeing if I could make a hole in the middle and seeing how much I could make user input, like with group inputs. Over on the right, I just threw in my design that I made throughout the process. Just shows it says make a gear out of selected cylinder with hollow inner circle and spokes on the outside. So I won't explain all this. Pretty simple. It just makes a cylinder, sets the scale, um, adds in certain edge loops on tops and bottom of the cylinder so you can move the faces out of the way or remove them after moving one to the other position. Then it just identifies what needs to be extruded on the outside of the cylinder and shrinks down the outside of them so they look more pointed out like an actual gear would be. So I had some struggles throughout the process, which took up a lot of the time. Um, as I said, I wanted to see how much I could set up with group inputs. I originally designed to let the user set the number of spokes from 3 to 16. Um, but the issue with that is the way I was selecting faces and such made it very finicky. There's not a lot of work with Blender, just helping that out. So there was a lot of things I couldn't do, mainly that. Um, Another thing I struggled with was trying to figure out how to move the faces on the top and the bottom to make that inner hole in the gear. And one of the things I tried to use was using corners of faces to move the points at the edge of the faces instead of um, moving the face itself. That didn't work either, but I figured out another method that I'll show in a bit on how I actually got that finished. Um, I also was unable to use map ranges and index switch nodes to specify the faces to extrude. That's another reason I couldn't do the first point on this page, is because I could not get those to work. The map range and index switches were a way I was trying to figure out how to shrink down my workload, but they don't interact with index very well, only mainly regular values like float or integer. So it would come out not extruding the things I wanted in just some other random faces. Here's some pictures real quick just of the corners of face, map range, compare, and all that. And over here is the index switch I had. Nothing crazy, just has similar things to what I'll show and what I actually did with these indexes and equals. But how does it actually work? Not just the struggles. So it starts with making a cylinder with extra faces on the top and bottom. Then the middle upper face gets moved to the lower side and both are removed. And then all the faces on the outside, it goes every other one, so they're not connected, get extruded, and I actually got some preference in by choosing the length of how far they get extruded. So here it shows the cylinder being made, extruding and deleting the bottom and lower face, or top and bottom face. This shows all of the 8 spokes getting extruded, and then it shows them getting scaled down. Here it just explains real quick, if you don't know face index, it specifies what faces need to be removed or extruded, and I used a modifier to see the index on the face on the gear, and face edges and points have these secret numbers that define them. They kind of just look like this. with one on each of the faces, and it's the thing I could toggle on or off using the modifier and a button on it. Well, with all that, I can show the tool in action if I just go over to Blender here. Alright, so here's your cylinder, or well, it could work with really any object, but unfortunately Blender doesn't let you do it off of no object with the tool, so you can just select some random thing, and you just go up here, click on Gear Tool. There's the gear with the center hollow and the spokes, and you can just specify the length a little bit if you need a big one, if you need a little one. And there you go, that's my gear tool I made.